I might get Peter to comment about that, because that's actually the opposite of what you suggested earlier. I mean, increased costs, a novel idea, reduce costs.
Yeah, it is. Pardon me. Look, I'm very sympathetic to your case, but I still think we oversimplify things, and I can only come back to the fact that we need to start changing our culture. Now, I'm not suggesting this could happen tomorrow, but maybe we even need to change how we build houses. Falls from heights are a problem. Statistics say it's costing the community a lot of money. In some jurisdictions, I've just been to America, as has Carl, and the costs there of falls from heights are staggering. They're in billions and billions of dollars per annum. I can't make them go away. So we need to change something. Now, I've seen cases where they've actually pre-constructed a house roof on the ground and then just lifted it on to the framework with a crane. Maybe that's the sort of thing we need to look at in the future. That's not a short-term solution. In the short term, yeah, you're right, there should be some government help if there is going to be a cost to the community and if it's new costs that weren't there before. I question this one, whether it's new costs, because it's been around for a long time. But there probably is a case to be made for it. But at the same time, I think we're oversimplifying it. I think what people are actually doing on house roofs and factory roofs is pretty substandard, and we need to look at that as well, because if they do actually take a fall, they'll probably die anyway.
Yeah, go to Dimitri, then Carl.
All right. Well, from a WorkCover perspective, we do provide some financial incentives where you up to a value of about $500 if you've identified there's a need to purchase some sort of safety equipment. You can get that information on our website, and it's aimed at small businesses. So the micro businesses, less than 20 employees. So there is a financial incentive there. In terms of installation of roofs or roof trusses, exactly agree with, was it Peter? The process is that it's best to manufacture roof trusses, pre-manufacture and bring them and install them in the manufactured state. We actually have developed some industry guidance in consultation with roofing companies and industry associations, specifically aimed at the step-by-step process of installing prefabricated roof trusses. So I believe that we've done a lot to assist industry in that respect.
Carl, I'll let you comment, and then we'll take two more questions.
What I'm seeing is that the PCBUs and employers and building owners have really stepped up to the plate, and more money than ever is being spent on this equipment. I don't think there's any shortage of money being spent. The problem is, for the clients, is they're not getting what they paid for, and they're spending all this money in good faith. The equipment's being installed and it's not safe. Now, go through training, Australian standards, the bottom line is it's not safe. And I think that it's difficult for the regulators to go through their stats and identify what falls because of equipment failure and what because of roof failure and structural collapse, and an anchor that doesn't comply or that's unsafe to use doesn't meet the reporting requirements under WorkCover's regulations. So I think more money than ever is being spent. I think the problem is the clients aren't getting what they're expecting to get. So it's about the framework.
Michael, can I just say something very quickly about clients? Client expectations are that whatever gets built stands up, and so they're looking over the life cycle of whatever they're buying. So, you know, I bristle when people talk about costs, because it's always the cost of construction, but it's very, very rarely considered over the spreading the cost over the product that's just been built. If you're going to build something, you're expecting something to be built that's going to last 100 years if it's a house. Let's be generous here. And there's plenty of 100-year houses around. So the cost is little compared to that return, and the client is expecting something to stay up that long. So the cost should be, the client is thinking of the cost, return and recovery over that period of time. Not over the time of the construction contract, but over the life of what they're buying. So, you know, the issues of costs, yes, I can understand it, but I do think that we need to educate people about exactly what the client is expecting. Sorry.
I might just go here for one question.
Hi. My name's Shannon. I work for a facilities management company. We have several large clients and also work with thousands of contractors. We have a lot of high-profile clients. It's not as if these regulations are new at all. They've always had to maintain a safe workplace. I'm very active in the field, and the contractors out there are constantly reporting that it's unsafe to access here or there. We don't have the financial control over the contractor or the client to provide these safe systems of work. What is going to be done for education to these major clients or landlords as well to provide these safe workplaces for contractors? And what dates will be given and timeframes so we can actually work towards that?
Good point.
Dimitri, you want to start?
Our suggestion would be not to put your workers in any unsafe area. Yeah, I know, but let me finish what I was going to say. Whoever said that? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, you haven't let me finish.
Can I just say something? Facility management. I went to a forum similar to this down in Melbourne not that long ago. I hear this exact same comment repeatedly.
Right.
And it is not okay for the authorities to talk that way. It is belittling, really. It is belittling. That you do not understand that this lady has, what you say, thousands of contractors, several of them large contractors, but also lots of smaller ones, I presume, sole proprietors. And in any way, shape or form, she has to get the job done. And she cannot say, in most cases, correct me if I'm wrong, but she cannot say, oh, I'm sorry, you won't be able to do that job because I'm putting your life at risk. She can't make the call. They have to make the call. In fact, the regulations state that they have to make the call. They also state that she has to make the call. But who is in the best position to make that call?
All right. Well, look,
thank you for that question.
it was not. It's not a belittling comment. It was just one part of my answer, and the answer is obviously, first thing would be to safeguard your own workers. Secondly, it's a dual responsibility as per the requirements in the legislation that all PCBUs, including the client, needs to have a safe system of work, and you need to communicate with that client about installing the appropriate. And in terms of who wears the cost of installing it, because that's the critical part of your question, would it be me as a subcontractor going up and installing a system, or is that the cost of the client? Well, it's up to you guys to negotiate that.
So
I mean,
new builds and constructions, they're getting done without, this is on several accounts that we've had. They all get done and there's no roof access and they've installed aircon and compressors and everything on the roof that we then have to get up and maintain within 6 months with no safe access. So there's no guidelines there on anything for new install.
Yep.
Existing equipment that's in very poor condition, brittle roofs, everything like that. There's
Yep.
no constant integrity testing on anything that's done. There's no regulations around it. When you put forward these ideas, sometimes you're even laughed at. These are several health and safety practitioners. We're only contractors to a client.
yes,
And all we can do is put forward recommendations.
absolutely.
You can't go any further than that.
No. I mean, there are regulations. There are codes of practice. It's obviously how do you enforce those codes of practice and who's responsible for enforcing them. And
Hang on. Aren't you glad you came today to meet?
yeah, it's kind of a...
But the codes of practice, it's not relevant if there's not an anchor point or there's not something on the roof, and it's not mandatory in any building regulations. Like, we can build a structure tomorrow with a pitch roof,
Yep.
and there's no mandatory regulation for us to have an anchor point on it at all.
No.
So to maintain that or to fix a tile that's on the roof, somebody's got to get up there, and, failing to build a scaffold all the way around the building to protect their fall.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. You've got to go back to the original design and the regulations for the buildings. They must have these things as mandatory requirements.
Yeah. Well, industrial roofs have the safety mesh requirement.
Yeah, but that's only during construction.
No, they're left in place.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything about the edge of the roof
Yeah,
if
it
it's a
can be-
pitched roof. What I'm getting at is that if you get up there to fix a tile, for example, or two tiles, if they're towards the edge of the roof, there's no requirement for an anchor point in that building for anyone to hook onto, and there's no way to make it safe without building a whole scaffolding or something ridiculous to fix a tile.
Ken, I'll just pick you up on that. I think your point is that there's no prescription around that. There is, Dimitri would say, a duty of care that is imposed on a person conducting business or undertaking that controls a workplace in relation to...
We all get the duty of care.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
No,
but how do you safeguard somebody who's got to do a job like that?
Yeah.
And it's from a maintenance point of view, especially.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is the duty of care. What we're hearing, the duty of care is understood, but it's short term. It's my duty of care for this period of time while I'm building this. That duty of care never extends beyond what you've just installed. And I think the point on facilities is that, and my point about expectations of the client, is that I want a safe, functional building. I don't want anybody to die on my building, so I want access points. I want fall protection. I could make an argument that going back to the original design of the original building, that you've created an unsafe product, unsafe workplace, by not putting these things in the first place. So again, we've got, I think, short-term thinking for long-term client expectations, and I sympathise with your plight enormously.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time in relation to this session. Clearly, this is a very important topic that requires a lot of debate, and perhaps I can encourage you all to host a follow-up session given the amount of interest on this. Can you join me in thanking the panel? They've been fantastic, and it's been a vibrant debate. Now, there is a questionnaire, a survey underneath your chair, and it requires you to answer a series of questions. Before you go, can I just get your attention for one more minute? I've got a series of questions just to let you reflect on. The first question, by way of show of hand, does the safety of Australia's fall prevention equipment installation must be improved? Hands up if you agree. Overwhelmingly in favour. Compliance with Australian standards for fall prevention equipment should be compulsory. Hands up if you agree. Formal training for fall prevention equipment installers should be mandatory. Fall prevention equipment installers should be licensed. Regulators should inspect fall prevention equipment. If you feel strongly about it, can we encourage you to complete that survey? I think it's important that we actually galvanise some support for what has been a very lively and hotly debated issue, and do go to the WAHA website. Do stay back and share your details with the members of the panel. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful audience.